Yes, we're live. You are finally listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR, KSMR Real College Radio. Woo! Tried to start the live stream up on YouTube maybe 4 or 5 times, and it was just not working. And a lot of things were going through my head right there of, are we even going to do the show this week? But you know what? We're up. So thank you for tuning in on November 11th here of 2018. There's snow on the ground, and winter sports are in full swing here at St. Mary's. So welcome to The Squeeze. I'm out of breath mentally, not physically, but out of, I panicked a little bit. So let me collect myself for just a moment. But the 16-second squeeze, that's how you win a Squeeze t-shirt. Are you wearing yours today?
Oh, I'm wearing it.
We're both wearing it, but we're wearing it under our overwear. So that's how you win a Squeeze t-shirt. They're pretty cool, and a lot more people are wearing them around campus. So I think we're finally starting to get the word out about the Squeeze here at St. Mary's. But the 16-second squeeze is the way that you win that t-shirt. It is a trivia game that takes place 3 times during the 10 o'clock hour. When I ask you to call, please do, and then we'll have you on to win the t-shirt this week. Last week it went to Zion Williamson. She is Zion Williams.
I was like, what are you
Zion Williams. It didn't go to the Duke basketball player.
Maybe he's treating me as Zion.
Could you imagine Zion called from Duke in between his games against Kentucky and Boston College? That would be funny, but no. So 507-457-1615 is the phone number, but don't call until we ask you to, and then we'll have you on the Squeeze. It was a nice, boring weekend for me. Last night I went out and went to a little party, had some fun, and I met a little kitten. And that little kitten's name is Boots. And Boots belongs to 3 students here at St. Mary's. They have a house together, one of which is actually coming on the show at 10:10, so pretty soon, Chris Beiersdorf. And funny thing about the kitten is I'm actually working to find a kitten for my girlfriend, my girlfriend, Christina, who you will be playing against in the 16-second squeeze later in the show. She is looking for a kitten, and I found one. So I'm going to go up to Fountain City on Wednesday to meet with the woman and meet the cute little baby kitten. So I'm pretty excited for that. And that's really all I did this weekend. You, on the other hand, had a very eventful weekend, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, no, I left Thursday morning. My friend that goes to Winona State and we left for Madison Thursday morning to meet up with 3 buddies at the University of Wisconsin. And then we left Thursday at around 4, went to Chicago, stayed at a buddy's house in Chicago, probably by your house, maybe.
Maybe.
I can't remember exactly where he lives, but it was just outside Chicago. Left 3:30 in the morning on Friday. I went to Penn State to watch the Wisconsin football game, but it turns out the hockey team was playing too. So we drove there 8 hours, got there around 3 o'clock on Friday, and then went to the hockey game, and then chilled out, got a hotel room, and then we went to the Wisconsin game Saturday, and then drove 14 hours back Saturday. So overall, in my 2.5 days, I drove 28 hours.
Wow.
Just for a football and a hockey game at Penn State. But that venue is something else, and that atmosphere was really cool. It was really fun to see my high school buddies again. I go to Madison, so it was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if they followed the Squeeze, so if they're listening right now, say hello to your friends. They might be. You did say you got home at 4:30 a.m.
I got back here at 4:30. Got 4 hours of sleep and then came here.
But you know what? He's here, guys. That's how dedicated he is to this Squeeze. And very, very excited. Chris Beiersdorf is waiting to come on. Alec, if you want to go get him so we can talk to him in just a sec. But there have been some rumors that the Chicago White Sox, are in talks of signing Bryce Harper. And although they have the financial wherewithal to do so, I don't think it's a good fit. And we'll talk about that after we talk to Chris Beiersdorf. That was a little awkward by me, but it's Beiersdorf, isn't it? Beiersdorf. Okay, so cozy on up to the microphone there, and thanks for coming in. We've been trying to get you on for a couple weeks now, but I'm happy it finally happened. Congrats on the All MIAC honorable mention.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's now your second time doing that. And what is it?
Third time.
Third time.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So 2015,
freshman year, my junior year, and then my senior year.
Okay. Yeah. So there. What do those honors mean to you? I mean, it doesn't mean a lot, or.
I mean, personally, it just means that the coaches in the MIAC know who you are, and that they know that you're a good player and that you make an impact. Obviously, with the guys who got all conference, it's more of like a statistical award, I want to say. And then the honorable mention is just kind of like those other impact players that don't have those stats. But I do want to say that Josh Ballsiger got snubbed this year.
Oh, yeah.
He was, I think, the third or fourth leading scorer in the MIAC, and he was not all conference. So I don't know what that speaks to, but St. Mary's got snubbed right there. So
yeah, and you know what? He's got another year. So hopefully he can improve upon this season and get that honor that he most certainly deserved this season. So I was looking up some Chris Beiersdorf statistics in preparation for the interview, and I came to learn that you were Mr. Reliable over the course of your career. You were the all-time St. Mary's leader in minutes played with 5,954, and you're also second all-time in games started with 68. Did you know that?
I did not.
You did not know that.
I knew the minutes record, but I did not know.
Okay, so you're second all-time in games started as well. How did you stay off the bench, and how did you stay ambulatory over the course of your career?
I think I was very well prepared in high school. I had a great varsity coach in high school who prepared me for this level, at the D3 level. I came in as a freshman, not really knowing much, and I got here, and a lot of the guys said, "Hey, like, we're relying on you." These are seniors saying this. "We're relying on you to come in, step up, and man the defense."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Are you kidding me? I'm only a freshman. Like, I don't know."
Yeah.
And so I guess it started there. And then I just kind of worked through my sophomore and junior year. And then senior year, I was kind of moving around because we had so many injuries. But yeah, just staying positive. I mean, I didn't have, whatever, the team didn't have the best 4 years, over the past 4 years. We've had losing records, but I just think the love of the game just kind of sparked that power and that impact that I had.
Got you going every game.
Yeah.
But you just said the team didn't have the success that you maybe wanted before you came to St. Mary's. Looking back, were you happy with your decision to play soccer at St. Mary's?
Yeah, definitely. Not only was the soccer aspect great about St. Mary's, but I've made some of my best friends, and I met my girlfriend here. So I just think that's what makes St. Mary's great. Winona's awesome. So I have a special place in my heart for Winona, and just love everyone here.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I think Alec and I would say the same thing. There's a lot of great stuff that this school has to offer, even though it is a small school, and it's very, on the low end of MIAC schools athletically and enrollment wise. But you know what? We all enjoy our time here, and I'm happy to hear that you did too. So you said overall the team didn't perform how you thought they could, and I think Josh Ballsiger, Robbie Sobczak, just about everyone I talked to thought that this was the best team that they had been on over the course of their St. Mary's career. Do you agree? And if so, do you think this team underperformed as much as they did?
I honestly don't think we underperformed. Maybe we underperformed at times, but I will stand by this for the rest of my life. We are the most unlucky team to ever come through the MIAC.
I second that.
Is so unlucky. With the Augsburg loss in OT, we dominated them. With St. Olaf, we dominated in the first half. We hit the post 2 or 3 times. Then they come back and score 3 quick goals. Like, just had no clue what to do. And then there's so many other times where we were just so unlucky. It's not that we underperformed. We did have a lot of injuries, so that didn't help. And we weren't really that deep this year. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate to think about it because that was my last year, and I knew that that team was going to be great. And
Absolutely.
then we had some fresh talent coming in with the freshman class, and then with my experience in the junior class's experience. So I thought maybe we slip in at the sixth
Different from the unlucky. What was your favorite game this season? I bet I could predict one, but
I would have to say the Bethel
Yeah,
game.
okay, that's what I
Even
was
though they
thinking.
scored 2 goals in the first 5 minutes,
Mhm.
you know, we were on our heels right away.
Yeah.
Just when Robbie scored that goal,
yeah.
Yeah.
we celebrated in front of their bench.
Oh,
we were
yeah.
like, we own this place.
Yeah, you had
that's
to
what I
feel good.
predicted, yeah.
So you mentioned the freshmen, Wally Barrows, John-Luke Nahorski, Eli Szymanski, and a few others. Did they impress you this season?
Yeah, I think honestly, all of them that came in, they all impressed me with their dedication to the team and wanting to just change the team culture and wanting to, you know, get that playoff spot. You know, I have high hopes for them. I would say the freshman that stood out most to me would be Eli. His skill and talent is ridiculous. So he's going to make a huge impact the rest of his college career here at St. Mary's. So.
And they're just big. They're big guys.
Yeah, I mean, like John Luke and Henry and even Eli like tower over me.
Yeah.
I'm like one of the bigger guys on the team. So
And then Wally is just stout and
I
he's
know.
strong. So exciting things, I think. And what I know you are leaving, which is unfortunate, but what do you think we can expect from the team next season? This might be the best season in the history of St. Mary's soccer.
I would just expect I don't know. It's like their experience. I think even with the freshmen, they had to come in. Some of them had to start and play heavy minutes. They're going to know what the MIAC's going to be like. So I can definitely expect them to play hard, play their hearts out, and hopefully get a result for us.
Yeah.
Because I would absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I honestly will say I saw more Cardinal soccer than I had ever seen before. Last year I didn't go to any games, I don't think, and I went to almost every home game, and it just, you guys were always together. You never let the tough losses seep in. At least it didn't seem so. Is that assumption correct?
Yes and no. I think we definitely show that on the field, but when it comes to just, you know, taking your stuff off in the locker room and leaving, there's some guys that do kind of stray away from the team, don't talk to teammates because they're just down about the loss, or it's, you know, mouthing off to the coaches, not being too pleased with how they're running the show. So yeah, I think that would yes and no.
Yeah, I mean that's any team, any athletic team. Track maybe not so much because it's pretty individual, but losses, especially losses like the Augsburg loss and the St. Thomas loss, those can either solidify a team or break it apart. And it sounds like it did some of both, but losses like the St. Olaf loss, those are the ones that I think can tear a locker room apart.
Well, yeah, we roll in the St. Olaf and we're like, we have this game won. Like they're bad. They're not good this year. They're very slow in the back and they're weak up top. It's like we walked into their place and we thought that we already won the game and they cranked us.
Yeah.
And after the game, we were like, you know, what's going on? Like, what are we doing wrong? So honestly, I had to take a little change of heart there. I don't know what our next game was after that.
Loras?
Yeah, that was a really good game.
That was a great game.
They were nationally ranked.
Yeah.
Took them to OT. We dominated, I would say, and then they just had a lucky goal in the end. But
That was a fun game.
On a cold night too. That was
super cold. Yeah,
cold and wet.
raining.
Yeah, not fun. I remember that one. So looking back, you already kind of said what your favorite moment was from this season, but was there any moment that stood out above the rest over the course of your career?
I wouldn't say it was a moment. I would say it's just like my time span being here. Coming in as a freshman, the team culture was just unspeakable. Like I could not tell you what happened on this radio show my freshman year. And seeing where it is now, I just think that with me and Centeno and Nolte being the strong leaders and seniors on the team, that we definitely changed and just kind of influenced this new St. Mary's era and culture that we kind of bring to the table. So I'm very happy with that. I mean, there are personal moments like scoring goals, getting red cards, and doing other stuff like that, you know, I'll hold to my heart close the rest of my life. But it's just my time at St. Mary's that honestly is like my moment that I'll remember.
Well, that's great. And you mentioned red cards. This team got a couple of red cards this season. Would you say that you had more than other teams? I haven't looked at the stats or anything. But
We led the MIAC in yellow cards.
okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yes, you did have more than most teams. So the MIAC had 4 schools make the big dance, the national tournament. That's pretty impressive. So the fact that you were hanging around with almost all of those teams, and that you did win a couple games in the MIAC, really is a testament to how good this team could be.
I guess looking back on it, like, we dominated Augsburg and we took them to OT and they got a lucky goal in the end. But you see them, they're in the conference championship, and they're losing Carleton and PKs at Carleton, and then they're in the NCAA tournament. It's like, we can be there.
What's different?
Like,
Yeah.
I
What
don't
makes
know.
them so much better than us that we're not even in the conversation. I totally get that. So you went to St. Viator
Yep.
in Chicago. What neighborhood are you from in Chicago?
Arlington Heights.
Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm from Elmwood Park. I went to
Okay.
Fenwick, which is St. Viator in
Fenwick
the
Friars?
CCO. Yeah, Fenwick Friars.
Or
it was
SEC.
Oh, okay. So now, I mean, have you heard about the new football
Yeah.
conference? Holy cow. Have you heard? You haven't heard about it. You
You
can.
told me a little bit.
Yeah. So you always talk about Minnesota hockey. I'm going to talk about Chicago football right now. There were 2 Catholic leagues in the Chicagoland area, the CCL and the
ESCC.
ESCC. And now they're one giant 40-team super football conference. I don't really know how it's going to work, but it's going to be exciting. And, Chicago Catholic football is pretty good. So I'll be watching some games, and hopefully Fenwick can take down St. Viator a couple times. You guys were pretty good in track, I think, but your basketball team was always
Yeah, they're always good.
Yeah.
We actually had one of my buddies. He plays tight end at Auburn. He went through Viator, and then there's another kid who plays tight end at Notre Dame.
Wow.
Through Viator, and I think after them, football's over at Viator. So
yeah.
can't
Okay.
really expect much from them.
So are you a Cubs fan or a Sox fan?
Cubs fan.
Okay, so never mind. I was going to ask you about Bryce Harper, but hey, maybe Bryce Harper's going to be a Cub. You never know.
We'll see.
It's not looking too likely right now, but
No.
okay. So thank you, Chris, for coming in,
Thanks,
and
guys. Really appreciate it.
we appreciate it. You did a great job, and thanks for listening. We are going to take it to break here, and we'll be right back. 507-457-1615 is the phone number if you want to win yourself a Squeeze t-shirt. 507-457-1615. Call in for the first 16-second squeeze of this week's episode, and stay tuned. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus, and translator K232CZ 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR, Real College Radio. That was short and sweet from Chris Beersdorf. Very happy to have him on the show. He was a great interview. He had a nice, deep radio voice.
Yeah. Do you know what he's majoring in?
I did not know. No.
Kind of interested.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably look it up if
Yeah.
you wanted to, Mr.
Yeah.
Producer.
Yeah.
But we do have a caller on the line for the 16-second squeeze. This is Christina from Chicago, but she's calling in from St. Mary's College at Notre Dame right now. How you doing, Christina?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for calling again. Longtime listener, weekly caller. So you're competing today because you can't compete against yourself. You're going to go up against me. I had 16 seconds to name as many NFL quarterbacks as I could. NFL quarterbacks in 16 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, okay. Mr. Biscuit? I know it's another one, but I cannot remember his name. You're gonna blow me out in the water for this one.
And that's it. So we got one for Christina. I hope that the host of a sports radio show like myself will have more than one NFL quarterback listed. Thanks so much for calling, Christina. I don't think you're gonna win it this week, though.
Thank you.
That was a tough one. That was a tough one for Christina. So she had one NFL quarterback in 16 seconds. Let's see how many I got in 16 seconds. Mr. Trubisky, Aaron Rodgers, Case Keenum, Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, Cam Newton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jameis Winston, Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill. And 9.
Yeah.
Christina, -8 for Christina. Not her best showing, but hey, you, the other callers, have 2 more chances to win a Squeeze t-shirt, and you're going against Christina. She has 2 recordings on the computer, so clearly she didn't perform very well in the NFL quarterback.
To win now.
Yeah, you might be favored to win if you call in for the next time. 507-457-1615 is the number. So, midweek, we heard that Dez Bryant was being signed by the New Orleans Saints, and immediately I said to you, man, if anyone picks him up in fantasy, they're dumb as heck. And what did you say?
I picked him up and then convinced someone to trade for him.
Which was smart.
Yes, and I got David Johnson and a couple other players in the deal, so I was like, heck yeah.
No, for sure. What my point was, if you had to spend money to get him, then you're dumb. Or
One of my other leagues I picked him up.
Oh my gosh. Or if you traded for him, you weren't very smart. Because although he's a big name, he's not exactly a big producer. But then something happened to Dez Bryant. What happened to Dez Bryant?
Yeah, so Dez Bryant tore his Achilles, and I just found out this. It was the last play of practice.
Oh,
The
no.
last play. They were just going to run it. I think they wanted just to maybe get to him since he was the new guy. Tore it on the last play of practice. 8 months he's out. But luckily for the Saints, it was before the trade deadline, so the contract won't be as big. I think that's the rule.
Okay, yeah.
But, yeah, like you said, fantasy owners, that's not good.
Yeah, so tell the people, who exactly did you give up in the trade and who did you get in the trade?
That's a really good question.
If you could remember
I
that.
can pull it up.
Either way, I'm pretty sure it's easy to say that you fleeced. You fleeced whoever you traded with.
Yeah, so I gave up Eric Ebron, Dez Bryant, Marvin Jones, and Jalen Richard for David Johnson and Amari Cooper because I needed running back really bad. So basically, I gave up Jalen Richard, Marvin Jones Jr., and Ebron for Amari Cooper and David Johnson, which I think is very happy.
That's a
I
great
made
deal.
it with a guy that goes here that's from my hometown, kind of sweet-talked him a little.
Mhm.
I was doing our case study for sports management in the library, and I kind of had Colin Stir on one side and Brandon on the other side, kind of negotiating a little bit. What do you want, guys? What do you want? And I got a deal done.
You
the
did.
case study might not be too good. I might not put a lot of
But
detail
you know
into
what?
it, but
Your fantasy team got better.
that's the most important
That's all
thing.
that really
More important than school.
Yeah, oh no, for sure.
Sports
For
over school, everything.
for sure. So, free agent pickup Dez Bryant. Let's talk about MLB free agent currently in the offseason, Mr. Bryce Harper. There was a picture on Twitter of the marquee at the United Center that said a Sox logo, number 34, Bryce Harper. So one could imagine that they are putting together a production video for, to show Bryce Harper and show him that being a White Sox would just be absolutely awesome. And I just don't see it. The thing about the White Sox is their biggest contract in the history of their franchise is $68 million, and that's to Jose Abreu, who is currently on the team. So you're going to tell me that a team that has never spent money ever is just all of a sudden going to offer the largest contract in the history of Major League Baseball. I just don't see it happening. And not only do I not see it happening financially in that sense, they could technically fit it in under the salary cap. I mean, they have nobody on the payroll right now. It also doesn't really make sense in the rebuild to me. Right now, Yohan Moncada hasn't shown you anything. Michael Kopech, Tommy John. Lucas Giolito hasn't shown you anything. Jake Berger hurt. You haven't been shown that these prospects are real players yet. So you're just going to invest all this money into Bryce Harper before you even know if Bryce Harper is going to make you that much better. This team without Bryce Harper is an under 500 team without a doubt. So you're telling me that a 6-win player is going to automatically give them 20 more wins and put them in the playoffs? I just don't see it happening from the White Sox perspective or from Bryce Harper's perspective.
I think Bryce Harper, it's his time too. I think he wants to be a contender. Like the Nationals had all these high expectations. They had Strasburg, they had Scherzer, they had all these guys coming in, and again, they underperformed a lot, which is very, very unfortunate for them. But who wants to go to the White Sox right now? Like, I'm looking at their depth chart. I can recognize maybe a couple names. And White Sox don't I don't think they get too many fans, do they?
No, not at all. That's the other thing. So the theory is Jerry Reinsdorf is the owner of the White Sox and the Bulls, and he's very old right now. So the theory is that he is fine with operating the White Sox at a loss by signing Bryce Harper if it means that he can get himself a championship before he dies. Yeah. That's the theory. I don't know if Jerry Reinsdorf is thinking that way, but Bryce Harper's not going to Chicago. He's not going to be a Cub, and he's definitely not going to be a White Sox. I don't see it happening.
Other teams. What other teams do you think he could go to?
Well, I heard odds opened up for the Cubs. It was even to get Bryce Harper. That's where they opened up at. But since I believe it's even for the Phillies. So the Phillies are the favorite. The Phillies make the most sense because the Phillies have proven prospects and cap space, and they were contenders this season. So you look at the Phillies, you add Bryce Harper to that team is most likely a playoff team if Bryce Harper performs. It makes a little bit more sense. He's still on the East Coast. He's close to where he used to live. Yeah, he's still far away from Las Vegas, and everybody says that he wants to be a teammate with his best friend, Chris Bryant. But I think the Phillies is the most reasonable choice for all parties involved.
Yeah, just looking at MLB.com, they say the Yankees, Angels, and Dodgers are also in the running.
Okay.
If you went to the Yankees, I would hate that.
Yeah. We're gonna I kind of teased my little project that I did on Excel last weekend, and I'm gonna talk about it a little bit later in the show. Yeah, the Yankees they spend a lot more money than everybody else. So it wouldn't be too surprising if they go over the luxury tax yet again to pick up a Bryce Harper.
I think Angels would be an interesting team. Angels are on the downfall a little bit. And
could you imagine?
Get back up
imagine if that team had Bryce Harper and Mike Trout on it? That would be a super team. I'd call that a super team in baseball, which normally doesn't happen.
I don't think they have many other weapons, though.
No, not really. Not a very good pitching staff. Not a really good infield, but hey, you have Mike Trout and Bryce Harper batting 3-4, playing center and right field.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch.
That's a dangerous team. So yeah, Bryce Harper probably not going to be White Sox. Definitely not going to be a Cub. I've given it up. Scott Pasquazi, he made it back. I'm impressed. Talking about you, you did come back at 4:30 in the morning. So Tim Rude replied, "Looks tired though." Very
I'm not tired.
Observation. I mean, you do look a little.
2-hour nap after this. I'm going for it.
You don't sound too tired. You sound engaged and involved, which is really all that matters.
Exactly.
So hey, the boys basketball team. Coach Fano got his first win as the Cardinals head coach, his first collegiate head coaching win yesterday against Crown, which is a Minnesota school that is in the UMAC, which is a lesser conference to the MIAC, but Crown just beat Hamlin. Crown is coming off a win to Hamlin, which is a MIAC school, which is a perennial competitor in the MIAC basketball conference. So one would think that St. Mary's beat Crown, Crown beat Hamlin. St. Mary's might be better than Hamlin.
With our luck, though, like Beersdorf said,
you never know. You never know. But I do know that this team is going to be better than they were last year. They already are better than they were last year. The only team they beat was Martin Luther, which is arguably the worst team in the UMAC. Crown competes in the UMAC and has already beaten Hamlin. So congratulations, Coach Fano, and congrats to the entire team. We have Sawyer Rosner coming in hopefully any time now to talk about his game and what we can prepare to see from this basketball team, and talk about the coaching of Coach Fano and the culture change. There he is. There is Sawyer. So before we talk to Sawyer, I'm going to do a Cardinal spotlight on Kareem Anthony Bello. He is from the CCL in Chicago, which is the conference that my high school is from. He went to De La Salle High School. If there's anybody out there listening from De La Salle, he's a graduate. Yesterday he scored 8 points and he had 4 rebounds. He also had a steal to round his stat line out. In his career, he's only played 1 season. He's a sophomore. So last year he averaged 10.4 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game. He averages more than 1 steal per game, and he's one of the most athletic guys on the court at every turn. He's he can bounce right out of the gym. He's a very good dunker, and I think Sawyer will have a good perspective on that. Sawyer is one of the other guys who is one of the best athletes on the team. Sawyer Rosner, thank you so much for coming in. Cozy on up to that microphone, and let's talk some basketball.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming in. So yesterday we just said you guys beat Crown, which is a school in the UMAC, and last year your only win came against a school in the UMAC and Martin Luther, but this Crown team is better than that Martin Luther team, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
So you yourself had a pretty good game. You had 17 points and 4 rebounds, and you shot 3 for 4 from 3. What was working for you personally last night?
As a player, for me, I like shooting the ball deep. So I was shooting well, which helped, and everyone was getting me the ball when I was open, and I was knocking shots down. So
yeah,
that definitely helps.
Things go well when you're making them, right? So Sawyer, you are, how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4", and you're built well. You look like a tight end out there, but you play like a point guard, which is a very good combination. The MIAC is a very competitive conference in every sport, basketball especially. And last year I thought you guys looked pretty small out there, and a lot of that had to do with you not being out there because of an injury. But the freshmen that came in this year are all over 6 feet, almost all of them. Do you think you are getting to that point where you can compete on a physical level with the other MIAC schools?
Yeah, I think we're getting there. Last year was tough because we were all freshmen coming in.
Mhm.
So even though you said like I'm a little bit bigger than the average freshman, but like the experience factor definitely hurt us last year. But this year, yeah, we have the 2 freshmen that played last night played really well. They're both over 6'5". So
Wow.
So that's definitely going to help us in the MIAC when we start playing conference.
And then you got Eli, you got Jake
Yeah.
Bailey. Kareem is pretty tall, and like I said, he can jump out of the gym. So I get goosebumps when I think about it. This team might be good. So what were your first impressions of Coach Fano, who did get his first career head coaching win in college? What were your first impressions of Coach Fano?
Coach Fano, obviously he did a great job in coaching us to our first win this year. He's a good coach. It's always going to be difficult adjusting to a new coach. So I was kind of like a little uneasy like coming into the season, but once practices started up, everyone kind of started to get accustomed to how he coaches, how he wants us to play, different style of play. But all in all, it's worked out so far.
Yeah, you're 1 for 1. So you got a tough game tonight against La Crosse. What can we expect to see from you guys against them, and what's the scouting report on Wisconsin La Crosse?
Yeah, coming off a game yesterday, it's kind of tough. We only have 1 day to prepare for them. So we got a kind of like a walkthrough later this afternoon. We'll prepare for them more then. But WIAC's tough conference.
Yeah.
They're right up there with the MIAC and one of the best conferences in the nation. So we know it's going to be a tough game. But if we play like we did last night and execute, just improve a couple things on both sides of the ball, it should be another good game.
So we just talked about Coach Fano. Do you like where he's taking the program? Do you see what he envisions? Do you see it yet?
Yeah, for sure. The main thing for us as players, we just have to buy into that.
Mhm.
That's a big thing in any sport. You have to buy into what your coach is putting out there for a game plan, and
Absolutely.
you have to respect that and commit to it day in, day out, and bring the energy.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Coach Fano, and one thing I've heard is that he's a little unpopular with the players currently because he makes you guys run, which is never a fun thing for sports other than track.
No, it's not fun, but it's definitely needed.
It's necessary, of course.
That's one thing I could definitely tell yesterday. We definitely didn't have a problem getting up and down the court. I know last year, especially with the majority, I know a lot of the time we had 5 freshmen on the court.
Mhm.
It's a different pace. So if we're all in shape, and we should be in a lot better shape than last year for sure. We'll be in good shape for this year.
Yeah, and speaking of last year, you were rolling, averaging more than 10 points a game in your freshman season, and then the injury bug hit you. How did it feel last season not being able to compete with your teammates?
It was tough. I had a high ankle sprain, so it was kind of one of those things where you could play on it,
Mhm.
but it just wouldn't. It kind of doesn't go away. So I wanted to be out there, but it was just kind of a thing that nagged around. Like you said, I was out for like a month or two, and it was really tough just to be at practice and be at the
Mhm.
games. But I tried the best I could to cheer them on from the sidelines.
Yeah, and you're one of the best players on the team, so that hurt the team a lot. Out as well was Eli Cave all season last year with an ACL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's back and he looked great. He had 18 points last night. You had 17 points last night. Can we expect to see that on a nightly basis? Who do you think is going to be the leading scorer for the team this season?
I think it's going to be a pretty balanced scoring effort night in, night out. Besides me and Eli, we had multiple. I think we had like one other guy in double digits and then a couple guys around 10, like 9 or 8. So I think it's going to be pretty balanced this year. We got a lot of scorers and people that can shoot the ball, so you never know.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And is this the year that the MIAC losing streak ends?
I believe so.
Okay, I like the sound of
And
that.
just talking about the MIAC too, a question I had, like every year I feel like St. Mary's is just so disrespected. Do you guys as a team, like I'm seeing right now, you guys 11th in the preseason polls, like is that motivation for you guys? Like if I was you guys, like just seeing that every year, like I'd be pretty pissed. Like
Yeah.
what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, we saw it earlier this week, and that definitely didn't sit well with us.
Yeah.
So we're definitely using that as motivation.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good thing when no coach in the MIAC thinks anything of you guys until you start beating them. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see. When's your first home game?
I think it's this upcoming Saturday.
Okay.
I think we play Luther at home.
Okay, yeah. Well, Alec and I will be out there. Alec will actually probably be
Announcer.
announcing the game, but I'll be in the crowd taking notes and cheering you guys on. Thank you so much, Sawyer, for coming in.
Yeah.
And good luck this season. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquesi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio. The phone number is 507-457-1615. We're taking another 16-second squeeze call. There's only been one so far, and she's at a -8. So odds are looking pretty good that the next caller will win the T-shirt. 507-457-1615. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sawyer. We're going to take it to break, and we'll be right back. Okay, you are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquesi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live at 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio. Mary from South Bend is about to compete on the 16-second squeeze. Mary, you are most likely competing against the person you're sitting next to. So how are you doing? You are as well. It's your first time caller, but you are a long time listener. So I thank you for the support, and I'm excited to hopefully get you a t-shirt.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, that would be good. So Christina had 16 seconds to name as many universities as she could. Universities in 16 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, Michigan, Michigan State, Harvard. Am I going to? Indiana.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
8,
Seven.
7. That's a pretty good number. Mary from South Bend, thanks so much for calling.
Awesome.
Stay tuned to find out if you win the t-shirt.
Awesome, thanks.
So that was 7 from Mary from St. Mary's College, not university. Oh, that's the timer again. Whoop, whoop, there we go. So that was 7 from Mary. Christina had 16 seconds to name as many universities as she could. Let's see how she did.
Loyola, DePaul, University of Chicago, University of Illinois at Chicago, University of Illinois, University of Michigan, Notre Dame, University of Iowa, Iowa State, Michigan State,
So
11.
Let's give her 11.
Yeah.
She said
She
St.
got it.
Mary's. I cut it off a little quick. So that's 11, but -4.
Still in the lead.
Right now, that's good enough for the lead. Congrats, Mary. You are in the lead with only one contestant remaining. 507-457-1615 is the number. Let's just take the call anytime. So anyone who wants to participate in the 16-second squeeze, 507-457-1615. This is your last chance this week to win a snazzy-looking squeeze t-shirt. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We just talked to Sawyer Rosner. Great guy. That was actually my first time really ever talking to him. So,
Smart guy, too.
I've heard.
He had a 4.0 first semester, maybe second semester. I'm not sure, though, but he's very, very smart.
Yeah, he seems nice and reserved and very, very good kid, well-mannered kid. I'm happy that we got to talk to him, and I wish him luck and the team luck for the course of this season. Hopefully, eventually we can get Coach Fano on the show. That would be fun. We both went to the same high school in Chicago, and I actually haven't talked to him yet. I probably should do that because he sounds like a really great guy, and he's going to take this program in a good direction. Technically, they couldn't go anywhere but up, and they're already exceeding what they did last year.
Last year.
Yeah, so things are looking good for the men's basketball team. But what happened yesterday? We told you that they won, but we haven't told you how they won yet. They won in nail-biting fashion. Final score was 76-71, and down the stretch with just 1 minute remaining, it was tied at 71-71 until Kevin Gleason, Jr. out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, drained a clutch three-pointer with 9 seconds remaining in regulation, breaking a 71-71 deadlock and sparking the Cardinals to a season-opening 76-71 win and earning Fano his first collegiate head coaching win. That courtesy of Donnie Nadeau, St. Mary's Sports Information Director and all-around great guy.
Yes.
Congrats, Coach Fano. The men are back in action tonight at 6 p.m. against University of Wisconsin La Crosse. Maybe I'll make my way down to La Crosse. We'll see. We'll see how homework's going before I make that decision.
I was thinking about it too. That'd be fun.
Show trip. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll go.
I would.
Is there a Chipotle in La Crosse?
I
I hope so. Then I'm definitely sign me up. That's sad that that's the only reason I ever go places. Is there a Chipotle?
I went in a while.
Is there a Chipotle in Fountain City? Probably not.
I
No,
think
definitely
so.
not. Do you know Fountain City? You
A
ever
little
been?
bit. I don't think there is.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to. I already said I'm going to Fountain City to go meet a little cat and a cat lady. And I'm a little nervous. If I'm not on the air next Sunday, you know what.
Will it
happened.
be a real cat lady?
Who knows? It was a Craigslist ad, so. I'm just
Wow.
kidding. I already talked to her. We're good. I have no reservations whatsoever. Congrats, Coach Fano, and congrats to the St. Mary's men's basketball team.
Yeah, looking at the stats for that game, points off turnovers, St. Mary's had 15 and
Wow.
Crown had 9. And points in the paint. I think St. Mary's, they had 28 points in the paint. Last year, they just got dominated physically. But, again, very, very cool. But tonight, lacrosse, very, very good. So we'll kind of see how St. Mary's differs. But it's not an exhibition game. Like, it's a true game. So it'll be fun to watch.
So here, go take a look on the roster. I want you to just list the heights of all the players on this year's basketball team.
Yeah, so we have 5'11", 6'7", 6'2", 6'6", 6 foot, 6'5", 5'10", 6'4", 6'3", 5'11", 6'3", 6'6", 6'5", 6'8", 6'2", 6'4", 6'1", 6'3", 5'10", 6'1".
And of course, you can subtract about an inch because it's a roster on a basketball team.
Exactly.
So you can subtract about an inch from everybody's height, but still, that's a lot of guys over 6'5", and that's a lot of guys over 6 foot. Almost everyone on the team is over 6 feet tall. That is one of the most important things in basketball. You need height and you need size. This team did not have that last year whatsoever. A lot of their big guys were out. Eli, Sawyer, they're back this year, and hopefully they're going to utilize that size and win some games for St. Mary's.
Fun to watch. Yeah.
Very fun to watch. The other team, not the only other team that's fun to watch, but another team that is quite fun to watch here at St. Mary's is the men's hockey team. That hockey team that we talked about last weekend not only played St. Thomas, who was 15th in the nation, very close in one game, but actually got a point out of them, tied them in the first game. They were back in action this weekend against the number one team in the nation, University of Wisconsin Stevens Point. Not only did they play them well, they almost snagged a point from the Stevens Point Pointers. Alec, you want to tell us a little bit more about that game that took place on Friday night?
Yeah, no, I watched a little bit of it on the live stream. But Stevens Point, again, number one in the nation. St. Mary's having 3-2. Stevens Point was up 2-0 after the first, and then Cardinals came back with a power play goal from Tyson Liverance. We just love him. He's the freshman defenseman. That was assisted by Dylan Robertson and Jack Stang. And then in the third, Stevens Point came back, but then just 10 seconds later, Alex Tobacco, who we just said before the show, it seems like he scores almost every game. He had a goal assisted by Tommy Stang and Dylan Robertson, but again, they couldn't just get another goal. And the Cardinals, again, after that game, they were 0-4-1, but again, don't let the record really show you what this team's like. It was the number one team in the nation. Many of the Stevens Point players could go D1, give or take, but no, really good game overall. Nick Nast played really well. He had 32 saves out of 35.
Wow.
So very, very impressive by him. So again, it's looked like he might have the starting role as Al Rogers kind of struggled a little bit in that St. Thomas game. But again, that was a good fight for them Friday night.
And shot totals, it looks like the St. Mary's Cardinals had 22, while the Pointers had 32. So maybe the goals are a little misleading, but hey, our goalie performed very well, and we almost snagged a point from the best team in the nation. And like you said, don't look at that 0-4-1 record right now. It's way too early to tell. We've barely started MIAC play. This team could make the playoffs. They just missed it last year, and I think they got better this offseason.
No, for sure. That Tyson Liverance, he's just unbelievable. Probably one of the best defensemen overall in the whole MIAC conference.
And then who did they play next? They played Eau Claire, which is a perennial nationally ranked team. Were they nationally ranked this year? 10th. Wow. So look at that. They go from 15th, St. Thomas, to number 1 in the nation, Stevens Point, and then number 10 in the nation. What a grueling opening schedule. The 0-4-1 record kind of makes sense. But you know what? They played everybody real well. They did end up losing to Eau Claire 3-1, but they took an early lead. Alec, if you want to give us the recap of that game, go right ahead.
Yeah, St. Mary's scored right away. I think Alex Tobacco had yet another goal. That was 16:45 in the first. And St. Mary's, they're up 1-0. That was a power play goal after the first period, but then they just could not get anything else going. Eau Claire scored 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal. So out of the 4 goals in this game, there were no even strength goals. But again, Eau Claire won that one 3-1. Al Rogers played unbelievable, stopping 43 of 46. What a good rebound from him after kind of that St. Thomas defeat. But no, as a high school hockey fan for Minnesota, I am. That Eau Claire team, that's a very hot spot for like really good hockey players that are on the verge of D1. So again, that's not a bad loss. But sadly, we're 0-5-1 now, and it doesn't get much easier this weekend. We might be playing.
We're playing Augsburg, correct?
They're probably better than St. Thomas. They're really, really good. So it's 1-1, one at home. We're at home Saturday, so yeah, tune in that one. It'll be fun to watch though because
You know what? Let's just go in wanting a point.
Exactly.
Let's just snag a
Exactly.
point from them. And then after that, hopefully, I don't know much about MIAC hockey, but hopefully those are the two best teams in the MIAC. Am I wrong?
yeah.
Okay, they are.
St. John's could give or take, and we play them third
Oh my gosh.
in the MIAC. So
So
get rid of the teams early. That's all
yeah,
we
yeah.
need.
Get rid of the really good teams early. They stacked this lineup or this schedule this season. And do they always open the season? I remember they played Stevens Point and Eau Claire last year. Do they always open the season against the best teams in the nation?
Yeah, they played those. They
Wow.
played St. Thomas. That was the first one. Then Augsburg was this early too. So yeah, that's
Wow.
why at the end it will all come together, and they'll probably be around that last playoff spot. That's what we kind of expected them to
Fifth
do.
or sixth.
Yeah.
In the coaches poll, where were they? I think they were number 7 in the coaches poll.
They were
Close to it.
8 of 9.
8 of
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Top 5 teams make it. So
I'm expecting a lot of good things from them. This is exciting. We're in a pretty good era of St. Mary's sports. We have a new athletic director. We have a bunch of new coaches, a lot of new young athletes who look very good. There's a rejuvenation going on in the Smoomin athletic department.
yeah, and you're just not seeing it because we're playing the toughest teams. And women's hockey, again, they had probably the toughest team in the MIAC, or second toughest team, I would say, behind Hamlin. But again, they played St. Thomas this weekend, which kind of had they played them tough, but had a couple of tough losses.
Yeah, so I went to the game on Friday here at St. Mary's against St. Thomas, the number 9 team in the nation, as Alec just said. Starting in goal for the Cardinals was freshman Jordan Keeley, and by golly, did she have herself a good game on Friday night. In the second period alone, she stopped 18 shots, just a barrage of shots. She was looking real good all the way up until that third period. The third period was a killer. Now, the score 1-0 does maybe tell you that they played them incredibly well. The eye test, I would say they got lucky. St. Mary's, although they did play St. Thomas very tough and very well, and they almost beat them, St. Thomas was far beyond the better team in that game. They had the shot advantage, they had puck possession, and they just missed. They missed on a couple opportunities. But that doesn't take away the fact that Jordan Keeley had herself an amazing game in goal. We tried to get Jordan on the show today. She was super excited, but then realized she has to work. So she's working right now at the rack. But hey, eventually we'll get Jordan Keeley on, especially if she keeps having these studly performances.
Yeah, Keeley stopped 28 out of 29 against the 9th best team in the nation as a freshman. It doesn't get much better.
Yeah.
How was the goal? What happened in the goal?
It looked a lot like the Al Rogers goals against
Really?
St. Thomas. It was a bouncer right through the 5-hole. She probably should have stopped it, but I can't take anything away from that performance.
Yeah.
So, but then they did end up losing again to St. Thomas just last night at St. Thomas, 4-0. I didn't watch the game. I haven't even looked at the stats. Alec, can you tell me anything about that game at all?
Yeah, I kind of was keeping up a little bit, but they lost 4-0 to St. Thomas. St. Thomas scored 1 in the second, and then they had 3 in the third. But St. Thomas outshot the Cardinals. I think it was quite a bit. Yes, it was. It was 28-14. So they doubled on the shots. Keeley played again. She had 24 saves out of 28, but again, yeah, just falling. The Cardinals 2-2, so they won their first 2. Obviously, they're getting them out of the way, but they play Augsburg as well. Different from the men, they'll play home Friday night and then travel to Augsburg on Saturday. So it'll be fun Friday night to see them play again against an Augsburg team that I think they should beat.
Okay, and the game on Friday night was televised on HBC yet again. Alec was not commentating this weekend because he was at Penn State, but this one was by Dean Beckman and Donnie Nadeau.
Yeah.
And I want to apologize to HBC and Dean Beckman as I was standing directly in the camera view for the interview with the assistant.
Oh, really?
I felt very bad. I
That's
got
funny.
quite red-faced after I realized I was standing directly in the way of the camera.
That's
So I'm
funny.
sure Dean will have something to say to me on Tuesday during class. I apologize.
Where was it?
It was so I walked up to the press box where that little door is
Yeah.
to talk to Colin and just talk to him about what was going on. And it says authorized personnel only. So I didn't want to go in because I'm not an authorized personnel
Yeah.
yet. But so I was standing right there and the camera was pretty far away. So I couldn't see the camera until I saw the camera.
Yeah.
And then I just
That's funny.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, HBC. Hopefully they could use it. Hopefully he could aim the camera around my big head, but I doubt it. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We got one more contestant left for the 16-second squeeze. 507-457-1615. That hour flew by. Thank you so much to Chris Beersdorf and Sawyer Rosner for coming in and doing some very good interviews, I'd say. Chris had supplied us with some insight into the locker room that we hadn't had before, and Sawyer as well. Sawyer said some things about Coach Fano that I hadn't heard before, and I still have pretty rose-colored glasses when it comes to Coach Fano. I haven't seen much I don't like yet, and I'm sure stuff will happen as stuff is wont to happen in athletics, but I really like the hire, and I might be a little biased, but I think things are looking up for St. Mary's Athletics. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We got one more 16-second squeeze left. 507-457-1615. Coming up in 10 minutes, we're going to have my assistant track coach, Cody Michaels, call in at 11:10. He spent the weekend in Pittsburgh, and he is a big fan of Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Pirates, Pittsburgh Penguins, and he got to go to both a Steelers and Penguins game. They got both wins in both games, and the Steelers scored the most points in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Woo! I didn't watch the game, but
It was the history of the NFL.
that's what I saw. Or maybe it was the history of the Steelers.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. They
Fact
scored a
check.
lot, but
We'll fact check that for you. But 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We got one more 16-second squeeze left. We're going to take a break here. So 507-457-1615. Stay tuned. And let's get a 16-second squeeze.
Yeah, or call in if
on
you
the
have a
line.
sports topic
Hey,
too.
if you have a sports thought, feel free to call in. We love to hear from you. 507-457-1615. Stay tuned. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquesi, produced by Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio. Not only is it on KSMR com. It is also on YouTube at Anthony Pasquesi is the name of the YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like the live streams. It helps out a lot. And don't forget to share on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We love the exposure. Like I said, a lot more people are wearing the Squeeze t-shirts around, so I think people are starting to notice. We finally got
Almost ESPN.
Yeah, almost. We're getting close. If we can be smooth ESPN, then I'm good with that.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So we got a follow from Donnie, the sports information director, which made me feel important. Felt pretty good about that. Coach Fano follows the Twitter account. So does the men's basketball team. And, we're moving up in the world. We still only have a couple listeners every week, but there are thousands listening on the radio airwaves.
Has to be.
Remember that. There are thousands of people listening. They're just really shy and they don't want to call. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We need one more 16-second squeeze contestant, and we're going to hear from Cody Michaels in 6 minutes. I'm very excited. Just confirmed that he is going to be ready to call in and talk to us about his fun, exciting sports weekend in Pittsburgh. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Sports thoughts and a 16-second squeeze. That's what we want to hear from you guys right now. 507-457-1615. Harping back to the hockey conversation that we just had about the women's and men's team, I said something that I kind of want to expand upon right now. I went to both games. Alec went to the men's game, so he might be able to talk a little bit more about that one than the girls' game. But went to both games. Both games were indeed fun to be at. You're going up against a top 25 team in the nation. That doesn't happen all the time. And not only that, but you played them competitively. Both teams played them competitively. But I will say the girls got a little lucky. The 4-0 score resembles maybe what they should have done on Friday night as well. St. Thomas had puck control, like I said. They had the shot advantage, like I said. And they had a lot of open shots that they just missed on. Yeah. So that has a lot more to do with luck, I think, than the guys who were down 2-0 early, but then came back. They made an effort, and the puck control was more even. The shots were more even. And they looked like they played them a little bit better. I don't know if you agree or not.
Yeah, no, I think the guys, like the games are kind of different, I feel like. I think the guys really pressured St. Thomas a lot more. That's what the women just have to learn how to do. They just got to really pressure and not really – I feel like last year when they beat St. Thomas, it was more like just let's grind, let's just – try to keep them away from the net. They're not just – St. Mary's needs to attack more, I feel like the women's team kind of stays back a little bit, plays more defensive. And I feel like the men's team, when they're down, they want to keep going, keep being offensive, keep being just on the puck and stuff. So I feel like the women's team just has to be a little bit more aggressive overall when they're down by a couple goals or even one goal.
Yeah, and that's some good analysis because you weren't even at the game and you said something that relates to what I noticed. It had to do with the power play for the girls' game. When the Cardinals were on the power play, the second that they got the puck, they shot every time. And they weren't necessarily good shots. And that opened my eyes to me that suggested maybe they don't feel confident enough to take their time because they understand that St. Thomas is better than them. You can't have that reserved attitude. And that's just what I noticed. And that may not be what they're thinking. But when St. Thomas was on the power play, they took their time. They were methodical with their shot choice. And I don't think they put a single power play goal in, but they took better shots. And Jordan Keeley, in that second period, I believe the Cardinals maybe had 6 penalties, and the St. Thomas Tommies had 6 power plays or something like that, close to it for sure. And that's when those 18 shots came. Jordan did a great job of stopping all 18, but they were good shots. And that's something that we'll see if St. Mary's can build upon, if the women's team can build upon, maybe take their time and set things up rather than just merely shooting the second they get the puck.
Yeah, the thing I'm worried about too is if both these teams, they have such tough competition at the start of the season, if they get down on themselves, like the record, even for the guys team right now, that's like, if you start off really poorly, say if they lose both this weekend, they're 0-7-1.
Yeah.
And then they just really start getting nervous. There's like, I don't want to get blown out, start playing tense, and they don't play aggressive. That's why Coach Moore and Coach Moore, both of them need to keep telling their players, like, you're only like 0-2, 0-4 in the MIAC. Like you can come back. You already played
Absolutely.
a tough team. So I feel like just being aggressive. That's what St. Mary's sports is. We don't really have too many skilled players. We just have grinders that really want it. As you see in the guys' game, St. Mary's checks more. They have body check more than any other team in the MIAC, and
Mhm.
that's because they're strong men. They want it. So I feel like that's what Coach Moore for both, even the girls too. Obviously, or excuse me, the women. Obviously, you can't check for women's hockey, but you can get pretty
You can get physical.
Yeah. So you can go up there. You can
Run into them.
run up their sticks. So
Yeah.
that's what you got to focus on. Just really keep being aggressive. Don't lay back, and
Mhm.
hopefully you'll fall in the right way.
So this is a question that I probably should know the answer to. Are Coach Moore and Moore, are they related?
Father son.
They are. Okay. I had an inkling that because they look very similar and they have the same name. So that's kind of cool.
My dad coached with Bill Moore, the head
Okay.
coach. So yeah, I've been at their house a couple of times. I don't remember it. I was very young, but I can say that I'm
There you go.
close with the Moore
Some
family
ties, some
technically.
ties.
So yeah.
And Coach Greg Moore, who's the young one, correct?
Yes.
He had a glorious beard, looking great on Friday night.
He really
I even
did,
put it in
yeah.
my notes. He has a nice beard.
Yeah.
Nice beard. And also what I noticed is the St. Mary's coaches, they all suit up, literally.
Yep.
The other coaches don't on the other teams. Is there anything
No,
into that?
They're strictly business. I think they have a new assistant men's coach this year, and then
Yeah.
I know Greg Moore's assistant. They're really close. They've been
Mhm.
together for a while. I see them at the camp all the time. They're
Yeah.
the best buddies. So I feel like both the Moores are living like their glory life right now. Bill's wife works for the admissions office here. Andrea, she's one of the heads of the admissions office. So again, those three all together. I'm not sure if they have any other kids, but they're all together. So it's cool.
Okay, well, here's Cody Michaels for sure. Cody, thanks for calling in. I'm guessing this is Cody.
Hey, yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. This is Coach Cody. Now, he was my teammate last year, but he's a first-year assistant coach here at St. Mary's. And Cody, you had quite the weekend, huh?
Yeah. No, it was awesome. I'm just on my way home back. Just left home back into Winona. So we had we had to wake up at 3 a.m. We had like a 5 a.m. flight back to Chicago. So, but it's all good. But no, it was a great weekend. Got into Pittsburgh at 6:30 because our flights got delayed on Thursday night. And then we went right to the Steelers game. They played at 7 o'clock. So I got to see the Steelers dominate the Panthers. That was awesome. I wasn't expecting that. So that was very cool. I haven't been back to Pittsburgh in over 10 years. So
So
it was awesome.
that is awesome. And the Pittsburgh Steelers had one of the greatest games in the history of their franchise, and you were there to see it. I saw it through Snapchat. Yeah, that had to feel awesome, right?
Yeah, no, it was incredible. I mean, they scored the most points they've ever scored at Heinz Field. So that was very cool to see, especially after the Panthers went right down the field and scored within 6 plays right when the game started. So I was kind of nervous. And then we scored a 70-yard touchdown on our first play. So and then kind of just steamrolled from there.
Yeah,
But-
and that was a fun game to
It's
watch.
fun that he's in Pennsylvania the same time I was.
Yeah. Our producer here, Alec Rude, was at the Penn State football game
yeah.
and the Penn State hockey game on Friday
Oh,
night.
nice.
So you guys were both in
Very
Pittsburgh, or you were both in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Of course, Alec drove all the way through.
Yeah,
So
not a good
yeah, he's been on the road for
Oh, yeah.
28 hours this weekend. But so I was talking to your boss and my head coach, Niels Anderson, about why you are a Pittsburgh fan. And he didn't tell me because he said there's a good story behind it. So I want to know, what led you to become a Pittsburgh fan, Cody?
Yeah. So when my dad was a little kid, the only channels they could get, because they couldn't afford to pay for cable, the only channels they could get were the Packer games, obviously the local games, and then whatever game was on prime time. And the Packers used to be terrible when he was a little kid. So the Steelers were always on prime time. So we started watching Terry Bradshaw because he liked watching him throw the long ball, and to John Stallworth. So it kind of spiraled from there. He grew up a Steeler fan. And then I just remember him yelling at playoff games when I was a little kid growing up. And it our whole family kind of embraced that tradition. So, I mean, now I'm everything Pittsburgh Penguins and Pirates. So,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
absolutely. It is funny because you are from Wisconsin, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people ask you why you are a Pittsburgh fan, and that's a nice story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was definitely tough growing up around Packer fans and Viking fans, but I've managed it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm a Chicago kid in Minnesota now, so it's tough for me currently.
Yeah. Oh, you know.
Yeah, I do know. So, Le'Veon Bell, there is talks that he is most likely not coming back before the deadline. You are a Steelers fan. You are the only Steelers fan that I know personally. So, what's your opinion on Le'Veon Bell?
I mean, I'm a Le'Veon Bell fan. So, I mean, it was interesting being in Pittsburgh the last few days, and that's it's a touchy subject, to be honest. Like, it's like Democrat or Republican. I feel like kind of one of those things. Some people are with Le'Veon, and some people are against him. I'm on his side. I mean, I get that it's a business, and I mean, he touched the ball 400 times last year. Somebody the ball that many times and expect him to play, 16 plus games. I mean, pay the man.
Yeah.
The Steelers aren't known for giving out guaranteed money, which is, Todd Gurley got like $35 million guaranteed. So I think he's due for a payday, but the way he's gone about this whole thing has really tainted his reputation, I think. And he's had a ton of chances to come back, and he hasn't. And I'm honestly shocked that he isn't going to be back. I'm hoping that he just shocks everyone and comes back by Tuesday, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah, that it is a sticky situation, and I'm happy that you see both sides, but you are on the side of Le'Veon because I'm on Le'Veon's side as well. You always hear about fans saying, they're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. Yeah, but the owners are also billionaires. So whose side do you really want to be on? The really, 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 really rich guy or the really rich guy? And I'm happy that you're on the player's side.
Yeah, I mean, running backs, especially in the NFL, have the shortest shelf life of any player. I mean, they're really expendable. With someone like him who can play wide receiver just as good as a lot of wide receivers in the NFL and play running back.
And then
he can pass block. So,
what is your take on James Conner? I'm kind of interested on your take on him. Do you think that Conner's? I think that I don't even know if the Steelers really need Le'Veon Bell right now. What's your kind of take on how dominant Conner has been this season?
No, it was incredible to see him in real life and just him in form. I mean, when he scored a touchdown, he's like sprinted around the end zone. The whole crowd was just, there were so many Conner jerseys. I maybe saw 10 Le'Veon Bell jerseys in the entire time I was at the game. It's pretty crazy.
Wow.
And his story is it runs deep now in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, I think if he wasn't doing as good as he was, I don't think Le'Veon expected him to do what he's doing. It kind of just ruined his plan, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm all for it, but I mean, I would love to have both of them in the backfield at the same time. I know there's room for both of them, to take the load off each other.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still good friends too. They text and tweet and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I think Conner's going to be a Steeler for as long as he's in the NFL. So.
Yeah, it has to feel good that right now the Steelers are outperforming many in the NFL without arguably their best player. That's a luxury that not a lot of teams could afford, and the fact that the Steelers has to make you feel good.
Yeah, no, it's fun right now. We're on a 5-game win streak after tying the Browns. That was pretty depressing. We have a tough schedule now. We got to play the Chargers, the Saints still, the Patriots. So it should be a pretty tough road, but I'm excited.
Yeah, and so I saw on Twitter that your fiance tweeted something about who you were sitting next to at the Steelers and Penguins game.
Yeah, so we ran into this really nice. It was just an older guy, and he had his 2 daughters there. I mean, he's lived in Pittsburgh for like 36 years. This was his first Steeler game in over 6 years because he lives pretty far outside of Pittsburgh area. And he was awesome in the whole game. And then he said he was going to the Penguins game on Saturday night, and the Pens, I'm not even kidding. So he didn't come sit down until like halfway or like right after the Panthers scored their touchdown, and then the Steelers scored. It was the same thing in the Penguins game. The Penguins were playing, they're playing okay. We didn't score in the whole first period. And then he came late and sat down by us, and they scored 3 straight goals. So I don't know if you can see him. He's just a lucky man. But it was pretty cool to see the same guy. I mean, what are the odds of that sitting next to the same person?
Absolutely.
But,
I mean, I just want to reiterate that just if you can't hear Cody super well on the YouTube live stream especially, they went to the Steelers game and sat next to a dude that they didn't know. And then they went to the Penguins game and sat next to the same guy who they didn't know. What are the odds of that? I think that's a pretty fun story, and I just had to talk about it here on the show today.
Yeah, no, he was an awesome guy. You really told us. I mean, told us a lot of stuff about Pittsburgh, and he actually helped us plan like our Friday. We didn't really know what we were gonna do, so he gave us a bunch of stuff. It was a great day.
Yeah, and it sounds like a great trip, and I'm happy you had fun, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow at practice.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me, and keep up the good work. I'm loving the show. So you guys keep at it, all right?
Okay, thank you, and I'll be sure to get you that Squeeze T-shirt.
No worries. All right, you guys have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Okay, thank you, Cody Michaels. That was awesome. I kind of felt like a real radio show for a second.
Cool.
that was really cool. I mean, we are a real radio show, but you know what I mean. So thank you, Cody Michaels, for calling in. That's a fun weekend. I would love to just go to a sports city like Pittsburgh and go to multiple sporting events. You kind of had a similar
Penn State,
weekend.
That Friday night of the hockey game, their women's soccer team was playing their first round of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, wow.
Their men's volleyball team was playing, and then their men's basketball team was playing Friday night too. So there's 4 sports going on at one time. So yeah, we had our options, but hockey was. Yeah, I kind of swayed my opinion there.
So sports cities. Do you have an opinion on the best sports city, or I mean, we talked about Boston. That's probably the best sports city right now. But what's the sports city that you want to visit? Maybe not the best sports city, but like the trip that you would want to do.
When I got it, well, obviously Boston, but when I got into Philadelphia, I thought, yeah, Pittsburgh's up there.
Wow,
It's really up there. But I'm trying to. That's a very, very tough question. But yeah, we just thought the whole state of Philadelphia was really something. I think New York would just be. People go to New York just to get the experience of New York, but going to New York with all those teams, I feel like that would be really something to do. But I'm trying to think I don't know what you would say for your.
I mean, Chicago is a pretty good sports city, and I've been to every team sporting event in Chicago in my lifetime. So I've been to Milwaukee to see the Brewers. Or no, that's a fun fact. We talked about it before. I went to Milwaukee during Hurricane Ike, and the Cubs were supposed to be playing in Houston, but the game was rescheduled because of Hurricane Ike, so they moved it to Miller Park. So the Cubs played against the Houston Astros, and do you remember what happened?
No.
Carlos Zambrano pitched a no-hitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my brother, myself, and my father were at that game, and it was just kind of out of the blue, and it was really fun. It's one of those moments that I don't remember because I was kind of small, but I will never forget.
That's always like going to watch a baseball game. Is it gonna be a no-hitter today?
Yeah,
Is it gonna be a no-hitter?
Yeah, you get through 3 innings, you're like, I don't know, this might happen. But sports cities, I think Boston. Not only for the sports, but I've never been to Boston. I've never even been on the East Coast other than Florida and Carolina. So
Minneapolis, like in St. Paul, I think we have pretty much every single sports team, and right now every single sports team is competing. The Wild are top 10 in the NHL right now. The Vikings are top 10. The Timberwolves, if they get everything together, should be top 15, top 10. So no, I think Minnesota's up there too. But Texas would be cool to go down there. I think. But besides that, I just think it's kind of too spread out. I would feel California, obviously around the LA area, would be cool as well. I
went the last 4 summers. I've been to LA, and I've been to San Francisco, and I've been to San Diego, all different trips. And the power rankings of those 3 cities, San Francisco, San Diego, and then 30 meters of poop, and then Los Angeles.
Last 5 years I've been to San Diego, Palm Springs, LA, and Anaheim. So I'm kind of in the same boat a little bit.
I loved the people I was with. I was with my cousins and my family, and that part of it was super fun. And I really enjoyed the company and enjoyed my time there. But just basing it off of a city against city, I think Los Angeles is way overrated.
Palm Springs, you got to go there.
Okay. Never been to Palm Springs.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But San Francisco, absolutely gorgeous, super walkable city. It does smell pretty gross. There's a lot of homeless people and a lot of needles on the ground. And it's, not every part of San Francisco is pretty, but for the most part, super walkable city. I went there with my aunt. It was my graduation present from my aunt. She's
Cool.
a very nice lady. She actually took my brother to New Orleans. I've never been there, but he went there and ate a lot of good food. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We still need one more 16-second squeeze. A lot of people tell me, hey, Anthony, you start your show at 10 o'clock. I'm not up at 10 o'clock. Well, now it's 11:23. So I hope you're awake at this point. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Zion last weekend got up out of bed and called and won. So it's that easy. Just wake up, call, and you can win a t-shirt. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We have yet to even take a sports call. So if you have just a sports thought, I'd love to hear that as well. Maybe we could tack on a 16-second squeeze at the end of your sports thought. 507-457-1615. We're going to take a break. That was some good non-sports talk, actually. I enjoyed that. And thank you so much, Cody, thank you so much to Cody Michaels, again, for calling in. Never mind. We're not going to break. Here we go. We're just going to take the call live. Here we go. What's your name and where are you from? You're on the squeeze.
My name's Taya, and I'm from Elwood Park.
Hey, Taya. Thanks for calling in again. How are you?
I'm good.
So I'm guessing you're calling for a 16-second squeeze.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. You are going up against Christina, who has had an up and down day so far today. Christina had 16 seconds to name as many Big Ten schools as she could. Big Ten schools in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wisconsin. Shoot. I don't know.
Okay, that's one. So I don't know if that's going to be good enough for a win, but thank you so much, Taya, for calling in. What's the best one so far? -4?
4. Yeah.
Okay, so Taya, technically you still have a chance. So stay tuned and see if you win the t-shirt this week. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been -4, -8. So
Oh, gosh, so -4.
knowing Christina's day, she has a good shot.
She has a good shot, actually. So Taya had one Big Ten school in 16 seconds. Christina had 16 seconds to name as many Big Ten schools as she could, and here is how she did.
Iowa, Michigan, Alabama. No. I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
Okay, so 2, which means Taya's a -1,
She won.
and she wins. So congratulations, Taya. I will get you the t-shirt.
Classic squeeze win, -1.
Yeah, classic squeeze win. We can't really do anything else. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Congratulations, Taya. Better luck next time. Mary, now that you have called for the first time, hopefully you're okay calling every week until you win a squeeze t-shirt. And thank you to Christina for not only calling in this week, but also being the recording. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Now we're going to send it to break. Thank you for listening, and we'll be right back. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus, and translator K232CZ 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. Woo! I'm
You're getting
having trouble.
tired.
Oh, yeah, 5 hours of sleep for me. KSMR Real College Radio, 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We don't have any more t-shirts left to give away, but we do want to hear your sports thoughts, questions, concerns, comments, inquiries. Any other words like that? 507-457-1615.
Insights.
Insights, that's a good word. Analysis. 507-457-1615. I promise we have stuff that we're talking about, but we just want to take a call. Come on, guys. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was a head case at the beginning of the season for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think it is fair enough to say that the Chicago Bulls won that trade. Will you care to agree?
Yes, very much so. As a Timberwolves fan, I'm not too happy right now, kind of what has occurred. Obviously, basketball is not the main sport I watch, but just seeing what's unfold, it's been really disappointing.
Yeah. It's, you know what? The Bulls stink, and they're going to stink for a while, but Lauri Markkanen looks like a player. Zach LaVine looks like a player. Chris Dunn hasn't really done anything yet, but he's been hurt, so
Done and done. I see
he's,
you did that.
yeah. He hasn't really done anything yet. His name's Chris Dunn. That's funny. He didn't do that on purpose. So we do this little thing every week. We pick 8 NFL games, and I continue my dominance of the 3-person league, or I guess it's a 4-person league, 3-team league. I went 6-2 last week. Alec went 5-3, and then the girls went 4-4 yet again. You can pencil them in for 4-4 almost every single week. That brings them to a total of 22-6. Alec is 29-19, and I am 32-16. If you were betting along with me at home, you'd be a millionaire by now. Of course, we're not picking point spreads. We are just picking straight games, so realistically, you couldn't make any money doing this. 507-457-1615 is the phone number, but we're gonna hear from Claire and Teresa and see who they picked this weekend. Lions at Bears.
Oh, the Bears.
The Bears.
I feel like we're doing really good with the Bears, and we did pick them last time, and probably
Yeah.
screwed us over. Okay, Bears.
Cowboys at Eagles.
Oh,
We don't like the Eagles, so
is that the team we don't like?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forget each week, and you keep reminding me.
yeah.
Okay.
So the Cowboys.
Okay.
Giants at 49ers.
Oh,
A number versus a mythical creature.
definitely the mythical creature.
So the Giants.
Dolphins at Packers.
Dolphins! Why do you even ask us this one?
Even over the Packers. That's crazy.
Yeah, but, like save some turtles.
We will always pick the Dolphins no matter what. I'm just going to preface that now.
Seahawks at Rams.
Okay, the Seahawks have really cool jerseys.
Are those the ones
Yes.
that are neon green?
Yes.
Oh,
The
please.
Seahawks.
Falcons at Browns.
Okay, the Falcons.
But we always brown.
Browns, yeah, they're a
The
color.
Yeah.
Bills at Jets.
Oh.
Oh, love a plane, a jet. Wow, transportation. I think we're
So the
picking
Oh, so
Jets.
that's it. You got the
Yeah.
Jets. And then Cardinals at Chiefs.
Ooh, roll cards. I think we have to pick the cards.
Roll cards. Yeah.
So they pick the Seahawks over the best team, arguably the best team in the NFL. And they pick the Cardinals over arguably the second best team in the NFL,
Very good.
both of which are at home. So I don't think they're going to do well this week, but you never know.
They're going 4-4.
Yeah, if they go 4-4 this week, I'll be kind of surprised. So Alec, who did you pick? Let's see if you differed from the
Yeah,
girls.
so Bears at Lions. I had the Bears winning. I think the Lions are a hot mess right now, releasing Golden Tate. I do not think they have anything going right for them after watching them
trading.
against the Vikings. Yes. And then Cowboys and Eagles. I'll take the Eagles. Again, I'm just looking like this game's Sunday Night Football. I'm kind of getting sick of these Sunday Night Football games being this division. Again, I don't think this is going to – these these two teams are very good teams. I feel like the Eagles aren't a good team this year, but I'm going to take the Eagles. I will take the Giants beating the 49ers. I think the Giants are still an okay team. They just haven't been up to par yet, and I don't think the 49ers, I don't think their new quarterback will keep up to par with what he did last week against the Raiders. I will take the Packers home against the Dolphins. I just don't think Aaron Rodgers will blow that one. Rams over the Seahawks. I feel like the Seahawks will keep it close, but then the Rams will pull away late in the third quarter. The Falcons beating the Browns. I think the Falcons I'm a fan of Julio Jones. I like him, and I like him on my fantasy team. I'm going to have him having a big day and Matt Ryan. Of the Bills over the Jets, kind of a little upset, but I think Matt Barkley will have a good performance in his debut, and then I'll take the Chiefs over the Cardinals probably by around 40 points.
Okay.
Blowout.
Yeah, sounds good. So last weekend, if you do remember, I picked the Saints over the Rams. I was the only one to do that, and I was kind of surprised you didn't pick the Saints over the Rams. Did you just kind of forget that the Saints were at home?
I don't know. I just thought the Rams were going to pull through. I like to watch the Saints, but I thought the Rams were going to pull through. But
Drew Brees at home doesn't lose. So, I mean, when you have a team that's this good, even though they were playing against an undefeated team, I felt like that streak wasn't going to last, and I was correct.
I want an undefeated team, so I want an undefeated team to keep going. So
actually,
I might as well pick them.
In whatever Super Bowl it was, I was small when the Patriots were 15-0 going into the Super Bowl, and then they were 16-0 for the season, and they were 18-0 going into the Super Bowl, and they lost. I cried. I cried. I'm not even a Patriots fan. I just wanted to see an undefeated team. And then my parents, I believe they said that they'd buy me Madden so that I would stop crying. I think that if I remember correctly, I think that's what it was. But yeah, so I've always wanted an undefeated team, but I knew realistically that they weren't going to keep it going. I picked the Bears, best team in the NFC North, over the Lions. I picked the Eagles over the Cowboys. Eagles are at home, and I picked every home team this week, so I'm not going with any real underdogs. Yeah, I'm not this weekend. I picked the Packers over the Dolphins. I don't think the Packers are a good team, but like you said, Aaron Rodgers is not going to let them lose to the Dolphins. I picked the Rams over the Seahawks. It's pretty obvious. Picked the Browns over the Falcons. This one's going to be a good, close game. Both of these teams are not playing to their perceived level, I don't think. I also called the Julio Jones first touchdown of the season last weekend. So I'm on top of things in the NFL. I promise I'm pretty good at this.
I'm picking the Browns, though. I think that you're not on top of that.
I'm picking the Browns.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Well, I mean, I am right. So I'm picking the Jets over the Bills. Very, very, very surprised to see you pick the Bills on the road.
Big day.
I don't know.
I think the Jets are terrible.
You know who's starting for the Bills, right?
Not Nathan Peterman, so they are not going to automatically lose.
It's Matt Barkley.
You never know, dude.
I do know. They're not going to win.
The Jets are not good. Jets are brutal.
But the Bills are not good either. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy to take your non-existent money because we're not really betting for anything. And then I picked the Chiefs over the Cardinals. That one's pretty obvious. Pat Mahomes is still en route to an MVP caliber season, and he's looking like the best quarterback in that draft.
Yeah.
Which you never know. Hey, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, and Eli Manning, that has gone back. Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger. That draft has gone back and forth for 20 years. So you never know. Mitch Trubisky might end up being better than Pat Mahomes, but at this point,
don't think so.
Not looking like that. Sticking in the NFC North, we're gonna put our differences aside for just 1 week because we've gone 2 weeks in a row absolutely hammering each other going over the Bears and Vikings because I'm not a diehard Bears fan. I'm never going to call myself a diehard Bears fan, but I'm a Chicago fan and the Bears are good. So I'm hopping on the bandwagon and you are a diehard Vikings fan.
Not diehard.
No.
I wouldn't say diehard.
Okay. So you also hopped on the bandwagon.
I like the Vikings. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you're from Minnesota, so it makes sense, but we're not going to talk about who's better. We're going to come together and decide which is the best division in football. And I guess this can go either way. You can say, well, who has the best team in football? Yeah. And I don't think the NFC North has any of the top 5 best teams in football. Or you can say that is the best division in football that has the best team. Or what I'm going for, what is the best to watch in football? And at this point, I think it's the NFC North.
I have the NFC South.
Okay.
I think the Falcons, once they get going, watching the Falcons, Carolina, New Orleans, I think those are 3 out of the top 10 teams right there. I think the NFC North is just – I don't think the Lions are – their records are just not good enough for this season. I think maybe last season I would say the NFC North, but what it's looking right now, how good the Saints and the Panthers are. The Panthers didn't look that good, but I think overall just looking at that. And then also I think the AFC West has I think the Chargers are really good. I love the Chargers. So that's my take. I think the North, just the records are – you need a better team, I feel like, to watch than though. If they maybe win 5 straight, the Bears or the Vikings, then I would maybe change my mind. But they're just not a dominant team right now. I would enjoy watching week in and week out.
Well, I will say you might not be thinking to yourself the NFC North has a top 3 team in football. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Bears are the 3rd best team in football because they're not. But this is now the 4th week in a row I've said this. The Bears have the 3rd best point differential in football. So if you go by
what's your strength of schedule?
but that doesn't matter.
It does though. Why does point differential matter?
We promised that we wouldn't do this, but now we're going to do it because you brought it up. Just look at the Bills game. The Bears beat the Bills 41-7. And the Bills beat the Vikings 35 to.
That's why that probably shot up their
13?
point differential.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter who you play in the NFL because every team has a chance to beat every single team. It's not college football. There's no strength of schedule. Every NFL team is an NFL team, no matter if they're bad or good, because any team.
Not the Raiders.
Well, good one. But on any given Sunday, that's the saying. That's what any given Sunday means. That any team can win. That's what makes football so fun to watch. I was thinking about this a couple days ago. Why do we love football so freaking much other than the violence? And I think it's pretty obvious. There are only 16 games.
Yeah.
So when I sit down and I watch a baseball game for 4 hours on a July Wednesday, I'm watching 162nd of a season. Like, it doesn't matter that much, but football does.
Every game matters. Yeah.
1/16 of a season. That's, I don't know. You couldn't. It's almost like games matter too much. Like if the Vikings lose this Sunday, that means a whole heck of a lot. And if the Bears win, that means a whole heck of a lot too. But you can't have these guys play for more than 16 weeks.
No.
That'd just be crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. You're right about there isn't like a terrible team, but again, I feel like it kind of depends what division you're into. I feel like the Patriots, like if they were in like a maybe tougher division, I feel like they might have 2 or 3 losses because their division's just terrible week in and week out. But yeah, I think NFL, this is America's sport, and I feel like I think NFL's at like they say the TV viewers are down and stuff, but I think this is one of its highest points, just how good quarterbacks are, how good the running backs are. There's just a bunch of stars, I feel, on many of the teams.
Yeah. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Call in. Sports Thoughts, please. 507-457-1615. I'm pleading at this point. Joe Quenneville, I'm wearing a Hawks jersey. The only reason I have this Hawks jersey is because my parents won it at an auction and they gave it to me for my birthday. That's it. That's the only reason why I have this Hawks jersey. I'm not really a Hawks fan, but the Joel Quenneville firing was surprising, to say the least. I put a poll up on 11 people voted, and 100% of the people said that Joel Quenneville did not deserve to be fired. I would argue against that. I do have a problem with the firing for a different reason, but I want to hear from you first, Alec.
I would say no. I think it's more the front office issues that they had. I don't think Joe Quenneville was the issue. I think you saw when they won the Stanley Cups, he did just fine. It's not like the Blackhawks are awful right now. Obviously, being a Chicago fan, you expect really good things about each team, but I feel like they still have a bunch of their stars. I feel like the front office did some stupid things with free agency-wise, but again, it's very early in the season. That Central Division is the toughest division in hockey, so I think that they're being a little bit too hard on the Blackhawks right now. They really just had one terrible season. 2 years ago wasn't the best, but they really just had one terrible season. and you never know when they're coming back. I still think they're going to come back and be strong. They're only 2 points out of the playoff picture right now for kind of the wild card. So again, I think they'll be fine. I don't think he kind of deserved that. I feel like it's not the best change, and I feel like Corey Crawford too with his kind of issues. I've heard. I was in Chicago on Friday, and I got some insight kind of on Crawford from this guy I was talking to at a restaurant. He said Crawford's a hot mess right now. He's been having issues with drugs and alcohol. So I think that's what you got to look at your players first. I think like the players are not really all in right now.
That's a weird theory, and I've been hearing that from some people from Chicago here too. It's not founded in any truth that we know of. It hasn't been reported on. It's suspective.
Yeah.
It's alleged. So don't slander anybody. We learned about that in news writing. So I don't know. It's a theory, and I don't think we should discuss it, not like us personally, but anybody, because if he is going through that stuff, he should be able to, handle that privately. And I have not heard that that's what's going on. It was an upper body injury, and as far as I know, it was vertigo that he was experiencing after a concussion from playing goalie in the NHL, which is a pretty typical thing. But back to the Joel Quenneville conversation. Joel Quenneville is the winningest coach in the history of the Blackhawks. He brought them to 3 Stanley Cup championships with 3 different teams. The 3 similar cores, but very different teams every time. And he did that. He solidified those teams. But after a while, a coach's message gets stale, especially after a losing season like last year. A coach's message doesn't mean a lot if it's not working. And the same thing's happening on the north side of Chicago with the Chicago Cubs and Joe Madden. So I think the firing is okay because this team wasn't going anywhere with Joel Quenneville. They're also not going to go anywhere with a monkey coaching them. They're just. I don't think this team is good enough to make to win another Stanley Cup. So who's coaching them, in my mind, doesn't really matter. The problem that I have with the Joel Quenneville firing is when it happened. If you were willing to wait 14 games, and that's all you were willing to wait before firing a Hall of Fame head coach that has brought your franchise 3 Stanley Cups, then you've already made up your mind. You already decided that you were going to fire him at the beginning of the year. So why didn't you just do it then? This is embarrassing. This isn't how a Hall of Fame coach should go out. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I'm an outsider looking in. I don't follow hockey very often, but I do understand that there was some infighting between Quenneville and the front office. And the front office clearly had a vendetta against Quenneville. But why not fire him if you don't like the guy? You don't have to stick with him. Buy him out of his contract.
Well,
it's just embarrassing.
Looking at their record, though, I didn't even realize 2 years ago they had the best record in the Western Conference.
Yeah, no.
And then they have one down year.
Swept in the first
and they
round.
fire him. So obviously being a Chicago fan is very tough. Like it's probably being like a Florida Gator football fan. Like it's very tough. But I think he should have stayed. I don't think switching it up is really doing anything. I feel like you should switch maybe some stuff off in the front office because obviously he didn't get along with them. But again, I don't think the players really had too many issues with Joe Quenneville, but it'll be interesting to see how the Blackhawks go forward with this. And again, they are in last place in the Central Division, but it's 15 games in, and the Central Division right now is the best division in the NHL league. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Blackhawks go forward with the Joe Quenneville situation with a much younger coach coming in.
So the new coach, his name is Jeremy Colleton, and he was born in Alabama, and he was born in 1985. So do on-air math, 95, that'd be 10.
33.
He's 33 years old. That's incredible. He's the youngest coach in sports, I think. Sean McVay is 35.
Yeah, he
might be 33.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's, I mean, there's some players on the Hawks who are older than Jeremy Colleton. And I talked about it with my dad. I don't know, I kind of said the same thing that I said to you guys right now. Sometimes you need you need a change of pace. You need a new young guy to come in and change the way that you do things. And that's the same thing's happening with the basketball team right now. There are people on the team who aren't going to like it, and they might give up, but you don't really want them on your team anyway. Why do you want them on your team if they're not going to listen to your changes? You want the guys who you can mold and you can bring up. And Alex DeBrincat, he could be an MVP someday in the NHL, I think, right?
Yeah,
He looks good.
Maybe. Yeah, he looks
But
good.
you need someone to bring him up and to play him. And Joe Quenneville did not like playing his young players. In fact, they traded away Timo Teravainen. That's not looking too good right now. And they traded for Brandon Saad. And they signed Brent Seabrook to a giant contract. And it's just the whole situation is kind of it's a warning to the Chicago Cubs, I think.
Yeah.
It's a warning to what can happen if you mismanage your window. The Blackhawks window was wide open. Like you said, they were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, but they went out in the first round of the playoffs. And instead of staying on message, I'd say they panicked and they traded away some guys and they tried to get more experienced and they did trade away Teravainen and traded back for Saad. And I just that's where they went wrong. So the Cubs have to look at that and say the exact thing just happened. They had the best record in the National League until the last day of baseball. So stay on message, guys. Don't fall off message. Stay young, stay cost controlled. These rumors about Chris Bryant in trade talks, absolutely absurd. And it's a cautionary tale for the Cubs and really for any team that has a championship window. That championship window looks wide open for the Cubs, but it also looked wide open for the Blackhawks. And that window can close very quickly.
Yeah, no, I just looking at the coaches. Sean McVay is 32, so this guy is 33 years old, so very, very young coach. But like you said, he can probably mesh with the players a little bit more, connect with them probably more than Quenneville did. So it is a cool change. But again, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane, that's what your team's really revolved around. So you got to do whatever makes them happy.
And I don't know. I do know for a fact that they loved Joel Quenneville, which makes this even more confusing because those are your star players, like you said, and you don't want to make your star players angry.
Exactly.
But they're professionals and they're going to, they'll play for this kid. And I do want to call him a kid because he's only 33 years old. That's incredible. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We're going to take it to break one last time. And coming back from break, we're going to talk about the Bulls. I don't know why, but we are. We're going to talk about the Bulls and the Cavs. And we're also going to talk about my little Excel project that I did. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. And we're going to take it to break. We'll be right back. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Mr. Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio, 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We do want to hear from you, even though we only have 5 minutes left. 507-457-1615. Is that phone number, and I'm losing my voice a little bit. I need some water, but I don't have any left. So I said that we were going to talk about the Bulls and the Cavaliers, and the only reason I want to talk about that is to make fun of the Bulls and the Cavaliers. So the Bulls signed? They traded for Jabari Parker. Yeah, they traded for Jabari Parker, and this was going to be the homecoming of the century. He was going to be the next Derrick Rose. At least that's what it was. Is said in the Chicago media. The Chicago kid coming home, playing for his hometown team. And then he decided to say verbatim, I don't really get paid for defense. Yes, I didn't make that up. He literally said that when asked if he's going to try harder on defense. He said, I don't get paid to play defense. Yes, Jabari, you do get paid. You do get paid to play defense. And if you want to enjoy yourself and pleasure yourself a little bit and maybe get a little chuckle out of it, just look up the Jabari Parker defensive highlight reel from this season, because it's great. It's some very quality things. I think Coach Fano and Coach Brown would be very, very impressed by Jabari Parker's defense. But last night, what did he do? He blocked the game-winning shot. He got a game-winning block. And if you were going to tell me that was going to happen, I would have slapped you in the face and gave you $5 when it did. Because the Bulls won 99-98 for the first time in a long time that I've seen. Neither NBA team scored 100 points, so that's ridiculous. And not only did the Bulls win without scoring 100 points, they only beat the 1-10 Cavaliers, 1-11 Cleveland Cavaliers by 1 point.
They're up 14 after the first quarter, too, the Bulls.
Oh, yes, I know that the Bulls won the Jimmy Butler trade. But at this point, Chris Dunn is hurt. Lauri Markkanen is hurt. Bobby Portis is hurt. Everybody's hurt. You know who started? For the Bulls at point guard?
It was an Archie.
Yeah. Ryan Archie Dinaki.
He was Sweden.
Dinakio. So what's his last name?
Arcidiacono. Right?
Arcidiacono. That's
Villanova.
It. Yeah, he played at Villanova. So your choice at point guard, your choice at NBA point guard for the Chicago Bulls is Ryan Arcidiacono or Cameron Payne. Oh gosh, they're just so not fun to watch. Wendell Carter is a player. I think he's going to be a player in this league for a long time. Lauri Markkanen is a player. I think he's going to be a player in this league for a long time. But right now he's hurt, and it hurts my eyeballs to watch this team play basketball.
I just can't believe the Cavaliers are 1-11. That's just crazy. That shows you how good LeBron is, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, me always saying LeBron's better than Jordan. Look at the Lakers' record right now. I don't even think they'd make the playoffs if the season ended today.
Them and the Thunder are struggling.
The Thunder and the Rockets. What's going on with the Rockets? You just said on ESPN there's a little update. Carmelo Anthony. Wherever Carmelo Anthony goes, L's follow, because that guy is – he might be a great guy, but he's a cancer in a locker room.
Yeah, he hates his role on every team he's on.
Yeah, he just shoots too much. The NBA has surpassed Carmelo Anthony. His little mid-range game is the most inefficient thing in basketball, and teams don't want that anymore. And when you're taking long twos, you're not going to help your team because you're going to miss a majority of them, and why not shoot a three? It's just mathematically smarter.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bulls, maybe they'll make playoffs in a couple of years.
Yeah, and I don't see a couple years. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for the Bulls. Right now for the Bears, I can see them winning the division, maybe not this year, but winning the division over the next 5 years, maybe making a Super Bowl. Like I can see that. The Cubs are obviously in perennial World Series contenders. The Sox, I can even see a little light at the end of the tunnel because at least they're building to something. The Hawks, I don't know. They're just so unpredictable. But the Bulls there's just no light whatsoever at the end of the tunnel.
No.
I don't see this team making the playoffs over the next couple seasons, and I sure as heck don't see this team ever even competing with the Warriors, with the 76ers, with the Nuggets or the Raptors. I don't see it happening. Look at the Bucks. You know what the light at the end of the tunnel is? Giannis has maybe 2 years left on his Bucks deal. The light at the end of the tunnel is go sign Giannis. That's about it.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty small light because I don't think Giannis is going to want to come to the Chicago Bulls.
No.
So it's not fun to watch them play basketball. I don't enjoy it, and I don't think anybody enjoys it really. And yet still, it was standing room only at the United Center. I don't understand
It's
it.
unreal.
I don't understand it. 507-457-1615 is the phone number, but nobody wanted to call. So we're out of time today. Thank you so much for listening. I think this was a great one. I had a lot of fun. We had 3 great guests on today. Thank you so much to Chris Beersdorf, Sawyer Rosner, and Cody Michaels. Tune in next weekend. This is the last show before Thanksgiving break. Very excited. I don't know who's coming on, but I'm sure we'll have some good ones. We're on a roll.
Yeah.
We're on a roll with
We're good people.
some good guests lately. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to tune in next week, Sunday from 10 to 12. Follow me on Twitter at Anthony_Pass. Follow Alec at AlecRude10. Don't forget, please, it helps a lot. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow The Squeeze on Twitter at The Squeeze and the number 4. That's the Twitter. Retweet, like. The more that you share, the more eyeballs that we get in front of. So please do your best to help us out because we enjoy talking to you and we want our voices to be heard a little bit more. So don't forget to tune in next week. And thank you so much for listening. Congrats to Taya for winning the Squeeze t-shirt this week. Have a great week and we'll talk to you next week.